When you move one side of the body, it stimulates this hemisphere more. So you need to understand that is very powerful, because there's a big movement with brain gym and how contralateral movement can help the children of today to learn better. Your right brain is more emotional, your left brain is more logical. If you connect the two brain hemispheres well, then more integrated thought can occur. If a child is maybe too emotional, you can balance him out with these movements, and I've done that with children, young children with Choi-Bo. So they balance out physiologically. They get more self-control and just learn better. So these movements profoundly influence learning in the young too. So the research that is needed to be read is a book by Carla Hunniford called Smart Moves, that talks about integrated movement affecting the brain. And so Choi-Bo is following her principles too. So I'm going to move on to aerobic exercise for time. Aerobic exercise is so powerful for energy. I train in the morning every day, as I've said. I use patterns. The reason why I use them is, and not a running machine or a walking machine or a bike or a rowing machine is this. They're pretty primitive in terms of wellness. I know they're abundant in health clubs, but they can just stick the machine there and take your membership and that's it. So I use Choi-Bo patterns. Choi-Bo patterns are keeping the techniques going for maybe half an hour on both the left and right side of the body evenly. So they become more difficult as you go on. But if you are using patterns, say for instance one of them is a little longer, one of the patterns revolves around several techniques that are done, and performing these movements on both the left and the right side of the body evenly. If I've just done the right side, I would do the left side too, in a structured way. That way I look after my whole body. The fact that I'm kicking and punching and moving my body through all planes of motion to get my cardiovascular needs met means I'm working my whole body, my mind as well. Patterns in Choi-Bo are to be done with body awareness, meaning when you're doing the techniques, you're focusing on blocking properly, kicking properly, and also keeping good techniques when you move. And also you work both the left and right side of the body evenly. The reason why these are so powerful, especially for the young children today, is they teach self-control. When you're running on a running machine or a rower, you don't have to control your body. In Choi-Bo we use patterns to learn self-control. It's a characteristic of a good life. If you can control both hands and both feet, then you can control your mouth, you can control your life. So self-control is essential for a good life. So patterns are brilliant because they challenge your balance, they work your heart, they work your joints, they give you more energy, they're done softly, you have to connect your mind and your body. They are just the most incredible tool to be done anywhere. Also, if I'm on holiday or I'm working abroad in a hotel, I just move the bed to one side, I train in the hotel room. I don't need a bike or don't need to go to a gym, so they're a fantastic method. Also, once you've learned them, they're good on the environment. They don't need any electricity. So also, the patterns start from point A, which is 5 techniques, then they go right up. The highest pattern in Choi-Bo at the moment is 175 techniques. So they challenge memory. You have 2 types of memory. First is implicit or explicit. Those are the 2 types, or some scientists call it declarative and procedural. Declarative memory is your grandfather's telephone number or your mother's telephone number. Procedural memory is skill set memory. Somehow these patterns, I'm not really sure how, because when I'm asked what comes next in a higher pattern, I cannot remember with my head. I have to do it with my body. My body remembers it, but my head doesn't work it out unless I was to do the academic. But I actually train and I rely on doing it with my body. One of the brilliant things about Choi-Bo is when people come and train with me and want to become a master instructor is they have to be able to do all the patterns from the beginning to the advanced. They can't blag that. They can't be achieved or learned unless they've actually gone through the learning process. It's not academic, it's physical. So they have to really put the work in to learn it. Not hard, but they just have to be consistent with their exercise training. So somebody that comes through the master program, not only do they certify as a master instructor, but they have to go through a process of learning with their body, so it actually physically transforms the mind in my experience. So I use Choi-Bo patterns for aerobic health. They're far superior to on a running machine, which is one-dimensional, this way. Bike, the same thing. Balance is catered for on a bike completely. It does work your heart and lungs, of course, really well, but it doesn't work your joint range of motion. It doesn't stimulate your balance. Same with the rowing machine. So it's not a complete method of exercise for aerobic training. So patterns are incredible. And again, they work the whole kinetic chain. The system is integrated. I've talked about the left and right hemispheres and how it influences communication between the left and right. The hippocampus neuron is an essential part of the brain that's involved in learning, and really to talk about that in patterns, I want to bring that up, but I'll explain why that's important to remember in this presentation in a minute. So Carla Huneford again talks about the myelin sheath that surrounds the axon in a nerve fiber. Okay, so you can see the myelin sheath. Now, there's studies that are being done now about communication. Obviously, when one neuron communicates with another, it connects and the message is sent via the axon to the next neuron. They now know that if you do a movement over and over again, it becomes more efficient. Sports scientists or exercise scientists call it neuromuscular efficiency. It means the message is transferred more easily. What actually happens is the inside of the myelin sheath becomes more slippery. It forms a new substance. I can't remember the name of it, but it means the message travels, the electric message travels more efficiently and faster. So how incredible is that if you want to think about life? If you communicate, I can tell you my memory is getting better and better. I'm vegan. I know that has a really positive effect on me as terms of how I feel in terms of wellness. But I'm so sharp. People ring me up and ask me questions. I can answer anything really, as far as if I know it, if I've learned it. But I'm really always, alert and on the ball. So this is exciting because when you use it or lose it. Choi-Bo is all about that. I don't want to lose it. I want to have a good life till I'm 90. Obviously, I'll start aging then, but not till I'm 90. So your body becomes more efficient at communicating. Your mind and your body, they're more connected. That's incredible. My experience is that my heart has become more open as a result of this training because I'm more connected to my body. How my body is communicating with itself is becoming more efficient all the time. So that's very interesting, especially if you're going to talk about multiple sclerosis, which is lesions in the myelin sheath. They now know that exercise is key, and diet in reversing or trying to prevent the symptoms of multiple sclerosis becoming worse. So the other end of that is maybe with Choi-Bo, my multiple sclerosis patients, if they're on a good diet, could perhaps reverse their symptoms, or perhaps we could do some tests on the myelin and see what the change was over a 12-week period. I'd like to do that. And as if you don't know, I'm working with the NHS as a patron of fitness and well-being because I want to get the people in the NHS, the staff, fitter first and then deal with the public at large and getting them fitter and healthier. Let's have a break. So, moving on. Otherwise I can spend too much on that subject because too many people are suffering from MS. There's a chat show host in America, a black guy, I can't remember his name, but he suffers from MS. I'd like to work with him. Anaerobic training is different. Aerobic training means it's sustainable. It should be at a level where you can talk to the person next to you with aerobic training. So it's usually for longer periods of time, usually 20 minutes. Most exercise workouts 20 minutes plus. So aerobic training is, sustainable for longer periods of time.